brought to you by Sunbeam, the best electric appliances made. Announcing new, the all-new Sunbeam Dual Deluxe Vacuum Cleaner, America's newest, most powerful home cleaner to give you the best on-the-floor cleaning and above-the-floor cleaning. Now, let's all play What's My Line?
Now, let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Arlene Francis is taking a well-deserved vacation in New England tonight, but she's left part of her behind. And it is the producer of a new show which goes into rehearsal next week starring Margaret Sullivan. It's called Sweet Love Remembered, and the producer is Martin Gable.
On my left, the remarkable Mrs. Remark, known to millions and millions of you as the glamorous Paulette Goddard.
And now I want you to meet a man who has as many facets as a diamond. Bon vivant, raconteur, writer, publisher, and mind reader. Mr. Bennett, sir.
If I'm a little distracted in my answers tonight, you'll all understand why. Now it's time to bring in our kicking unit. And have we got a kicker? His name is John Charles Daly.
My last name is really Summerall. Bennett's talking about football, you know, and I'd nothing I'd like better than to do field goals against Bennett from the 50-yard line. Charlie Connolly calls the signals, and I'll call some now. I must say it's nice to have Miss Goddard with us on the panel because it's nice to confuse the panel when they have a new member on the panel. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger after this. All right, panel, you all ready for the first go-round?
Yes, John.
Will our first challenger come in and sign in, please? Grace Lake. That right? Miss or Mrs. Lake? Mrs. Lake. And where are you from?
I'm from Byram Township, New Jersey.
Byram Township,
Yes.
New Jersey. That's fine. Mrs. Lake, may I present the panel? Mrs. Lake, would you join me over here, please? Mrs. Lake, are you familiar with our scorekeeping system?
Yes, I am.
In that event, let's let the folks who are in our audience here in the theater and those who are looking in at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. We will tell you that Mrs. Lake is salaried, and then let's begin the general questioning with Martin Gable.
Mrs. Lake?
Yes.
Is it Mrs.? Mm-hmm. Is there anything physical connected with what you do, Mrs. Lake?
Yes.
Is the physical work that you do something that could help me?
Yes and no.
I think actually here, the yes and no, Martin, comes from the fact that if you were in a position to utilize what service you have now in mind, under those circumstances, Mrs. Lake could help you, yes.
I see.
Do you really want?
Yes, I do see. Actually, it's quite clear, John. Thank you. Is there, am I right in thinking there's no product connected with what you do?
No product.
Is your work done indoors more than outdoors?
No.
That's one down and 9 to go. Miss Goddard.
If you work out of doors, most generally, Do you handle anything as you work? Do you use your hands?
Yes.
Do you, with what you use, do you do anything constructive?
Do you do
No.
anything constructive? No. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Lake, do you use any kind of equipment in the work that you do?
Yes.
Would this equipment be larger than you are?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mrs. Lake, if you don't do anything constructive, no, could I tear that up, please?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any men doing what you do, as far as you know?
Yes.
Is it more likely that a man would get your job than a woman in ordinary society as we know it?
Yes.
Do you wear anything other than a street dress when you're doing what you're doing?
Yes, I do.
Do you wear pants? Or trousers? I mean as outerwear. You wear...
Well, that is what is known as compounding a felony, Dorothy, but you go ahead.
All right. You are now out of doors. Wearing something bifurcated. Is that all right, John?
Oh, that's splendid.
And not doing anything constructive. Do you do anything destructive?
No. Now, I think before you answer this question, let me say we took the verb advisedly when it was constructive. This is not to say that what Mrs. Lake does not have beneficial effects. In that sense...
You meant it literally that she did not construct.
That's right. Since the tenor of the questioning before the verb was used had to do with whether you used your hands and some other instruments, we took the verb constructive there to be literally used, you see. Right.
Do you
go
move
ahead.
about in your work, Mrs. Lake? Thank you, John.
Pardon?
Do you move about in your work?
Yes, I do.
Do you pick things up and put things down?
Yes.
Is there any vehicle involved with what you do?
Sometimes.
Well, now, wait a minute. Here, I think we'd have to, if we may have a conference.
Because you don't want to confuse us.
No.
No, we're going to give you a no there, Dorothy, because Mrs. Lake misunderstood you.
What did I ask?
You asked if is a vehicle used in your work, and Mrs. Lake uses a vehicle, but only in the same sense that any of us would to go
To
from
get
one place to another.
to her job.
That's right. Mr. Gable?
Do you perform your non-constructive but useful work directly on people?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Goddard.
Do you perform your line on any living thing?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Lake, do any people watch you while you're doing your work?
Sometimes.
May I gather, then, they don't pay to watch you?
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
you may gather they don't pay to watch Mrs. Lake.
Is
no.
there any athletic skill necessary in the work that you do?
Yes.
But here again, only in the very general
Yes,
application of
yes.
the word athletic. Mhm.
In other words, you must have a certain amount of strength for the work that you do.
No.
You don't have to have any strength for it?
No.
No,
No, sir.
actually, I don't think the strength applies necessarily to the work. I'll give you a no there. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mrs. Lake, do you ever go up and down as well as from side to side in your
Yes.
job? If you don't work on people, do you ever work on things?
Yes.
Could the things be buildings?
Yes.
Do you do something that makes them look better?
Yes.
Do you either clean them or paint them? Or roof them?
Clean buildings, paint them, or roof them.
Or plumb them? Or...
No, I think we have to say you're close, Dorothy, but still give you a no. 8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Gable.
Do you brick them, Mrs. Lake?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Miss Goddard.
Wait a minute. We only have one left. Let's be sure.
Shall we have a conference, Bennett? We haven't had a conference.
All right, you may have a conference for 30 seconds.
If she were a bricklayer, that would be constructive.
Something to do with the steel work.
So it could be bricklaying, but it could be the other things like painting.
Laying bricks.
Painting or...
What
I wonder if she climbs on ladders. Could
Maybe
be,
it's a
but not on
riveter.
houses. On houses? What houses are riveted?
Well, building.
Oh, buildings, yes.
Old
Okay,
man
she could be a riveter. Try
That's
it.
constructive.
Oh, man, rivet, really?
No,
Bennett.
no, it's constructive.
All right.
Miss Goddard has a mind of her own, by the way.
Is what you do, portable house builder. What is that?
Portable house builder? Well, never mind. You should set it. That's 10 down and no more to go. No, it's an element of a building that Mrs. Lake cleans.
Cement mixer?
Window washer. Window washer. You were so close to it. Mrs. Lake works for the Dover Window Cleaning Company, and you belong to the Teamsters Window Cleaning Union. And lucky windows they are, and lucky we are to have had you with us. It was a very interesting occupation. Thank you, Mrs. Lake. Nice to have had you with us. Well, I must congratulate you, panel. It was a hard occupation. You came very close. Let's see what you can do with the second challenger. Would you come in and sign in, please? Robert? S. Sullivan, is that right? Mr. Sullivan, where are you from?
I am from Reading, Pennsylvania.
Reading, Pennsylvania. Well, you have some moral support right in the audience tonight. Mr. Sullivan, may I present the panel? Panel, Mr. Sullivan? Would you join me over here, please, sir? Do you know how we keep score?
I do.
All right, then we'll let the folks at home and those here in the audience know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, Mr. Sullivan is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Mr. Sullivan, Bobby Clark used to sing a song called Robert the Rouet of Reading, PA. You're no relation of his, I take it. Do you remember that song?
Indeed, I do.
That'll be all, Mr. Cerf, when you get to the general questioning.
I didn't intend to
That is not my line.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Just a sideline.
Mr. Sullivan, is there a product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Is this a product that you, in the manufacture of which you are some way concerned? Is that correct? Or manufacture or distribution of which you are some way concerned?
No.
No, I think there's a basic error in your question. We'll call it 1 down and 9 to go, Bennett. It will, one word you used tripped you up. Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Sullivan, is this a product that any one of us on this panel might be able to use?
Yes.
Do you think that I might use it?
Yes.
If I had it, would I have it in my home?
Yes.
Is it a product that could be consumed?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Gable.
Is it a product that could be worn?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Goddard.
Is it a luxury product?
No.
This is a difficult line. With Mr. Sullivan's permission, I will say yes and no. It is a product which I think technically we might have to agree was a luxury product, but its use is so universal that it would not always be so considered. Miss Goddard, you may continue, if you will.
Is this product something that is created in the mind and then transposed into a product?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Would you consider this product, Mr. Sullivan, in the line of either decoration or furniture?
Decoration of furniture?
Or furniture?
Or furniture.
Yes.
Would it be furniture?
No.
No. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Then you would consider it decoration. Is
Yes.
this something that could be used in the living room or drawing room of a house?
Yes.
Would it be somewhere other than resting on the floor in its normal position?
No.
It would be resting on the floor.
Yes.
Okay. No. I just got to know, John.
John is uncertain for a
I'm
change.
trying to be kind. Well, all right, no. 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Gable.
Does it ever rest on the floor?
Yes.
Would it be called an art object?
An art object?
In the loosest possible sense.
No.
Anything that's decorative, John.
We just can't get that relaxed. That's all there is to it. 7 down and 3 to go, Miss Goddard.
Is it a seasonal product?
Yes.
Is it, do you work out of doors?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with an article that has at one time been living?
Yes.
Is it of any, is it living at the time that it's on the floor?
No.
It's the wrong way to ask the question. You know what it is.
Now, wait a minute. I've got to talk to an expert here.
No, it isn't living.
I know what it is.
Show you that.
I know what it was.
Slowly dying.
Yes. That's what I thought, or something like it.
Okay, you're the expert.
No,
8 down and...
he's right. I asked the question.
Well, I'll explain what I had in mind a little bit later.
I think we have to give Paulette credit for this if it's correct. You have something to do with Christmas trees.
Yes.
The question is what you do with them.
That's right.
I presume that you raise them and sell them.
That's right.
That's Paulette.
Mr. Sullivan has a forest, which I think is somewhat poetically named Shearland Forest outside of Reading, Pennsylvania.
That is correct, yes.
Now, the interesting thing, Paulette, I was going to hold with you that the tree lives for some period of time after it's cut, but he says botanically this is not so.
I'm sure that it doesn't, but I should have asked the question, it does it live? Or it was the way I phrased the question. I asked a negative question, and I will never do it again.
Anyway, John,
Very much
Paulette
against
saved the
my
honor of the
nature.
panel.
Save the honor of the panel, right down the line. Mr.
But it
Sullivan,
was
thank you
negative.
very much, and a
Thank
very
you.
happy occupation you have indeed. And now we meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a message from our sponsor. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity for which the panel is blindfolded. Blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, John.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, panel, in the case of our mystery guest, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin it with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in the world of entertainment?
Yes. Are you a man?
Yes.
Are you entertaining professionally at this time? Not at this moment, but during this period.
Sir?
I would know these voices 10 miles away, so if I'm correct, I'm going to disqualify myself. Did I have dinner with the gentleman in question within the last 24 hours?
Yep.
I would disqualify myself.
All right, Miss Kilgallen.
Good night.
Good night, did you say?
Well, not quite. I don't want to end the program or anything, but it's not helping me a bit. I don't know who Bennett had dinner with last night. Do you sing as well as something else?
No. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Gable.
Are you in the movies?
No.
Oh,
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Goddard.
Are you appearing currently in a Broadway play?
Nope.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
are you famous for being behind the scenes, the creators of great theater rather than on the stage or on the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Gable.
Guess.
Rogers
Dorothy.
and Hammerstien. And John, because I have absolutely no connection with the production sound of music except as an admirer, may I just recommend that everybody of all ages and all temperaments and all nationalities go and see it because it's such a wonderful show.
Say yes. Say yes.
Yes, you may say.
I'd like to add to that, John, if Oscar and Dick could have heard me singing Do Re Mi upstairs a few months ago, they'd have both shot themselves.
Who do you suppose held the rest of us while you were doing it?
The terrible thing is that Bennett was name-dropping upstairs about who he dined with in the last day or two. I completely forgot, you see.
Well, these are, I think, very properly described as the remarkable men of American musical history, contemporary musical history. They're always there with more than one thing. I mean, it's not only Sound of Music. Flower Drum Song, I would think, would be starting its second year.
Yes, on Tuesday.
Flower
we're
Drum Song.
happy to say.
And it's just, I did a program once with Dick, and he found out how abysmally ignorant I am about music, but he was long-suffering, and I must say he was very good. He makes a nice informal guest on musical programs, so if anybody's going to start a musical program, I recommend Hammerstien and Rogers.
Thank you very
Without
much.
qualification of any kind.
Bennett, how did you know those voices? I didn't know those were our voices.
I think I've heard them for too many years. Not to know them when I hear them.
Well, we are much honored to be graced with such good company, and thank you both for coming to see
We're
us.
delighted to
It's
be
a
here.
joy to see you both.
Right.
Certainly.
And Dick, will you take a voice for the public?
And we will have another contestant after this word from our sponsor. And now let's try another contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? James Wilfong, right? Where are you from?
Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Mr. Wilfong is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, panel. May I present him? You have some friends in the house, too. Do you know how we keep score?
Yes, I do.
Good. Then we'll let everybody except this panel of ours know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. We will tell you that Mr. Wilfong is self-employed, and we'll begin the general questioning with Paulette Goddard.
Do you deal in services?
Yes, I do.
Do you deal with both men and women?
Yes?
I can't interpret your reluctance to answer. Do you go to them?
Yes, I do.
Well, are the people that you go to better off physically or mentally after you have been in contact with them?
I hope so.
Do you stand while you're doing your service?
Yes?
Do you speak?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been known to say some interesting things, as a matter of fact.
He's having an interesting time. Do you, explain things that are not understood by everyone that you speak to?
No.
No, I wouldn't think so, Miss Paulette. That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Wilfang, I'm just curious to know, have you any connection whatever with the University of Michigan, which is in Ann Arbor?
No, sir.
Thank you,
I
Bennett.
guess that's a
2 down.
no.
There you go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Wilfong, as a housewife, would I be more likely to employ your services than...
All right, let me save you a lot of trouble, Dorothy. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Gable.
Do you have anything to do with the theater out in Ann Arbor?
No, sir.
That's 4 down and 6 to go.
No,
And I'm afraid we're running out of time. You want to take a quick shot at it, Bennett?
He delivers newspapers.
Delivers newspapers?
Wrong.
That's wrong. 10 down and no more to go. Now, Mr. Wilfong shoes horses. Shoes horses. Horses. Shoes horses? Sorry, we ran out of time. We got a lot of time. Yes, sir.
I want you to know, John, that around our house, when the horses are to be shoed, I call the horseshoer.
Oh, I thought you did it yourself. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilfong. Nice to have you with us on What's My Life. It's nice to have had you with us, Miss Paulette. We hope you enjoyed your little visit, and good night, Miss Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Martin. Good luck on the play.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Good night.
Good night, Arlene. Good night, Paulette.
Good night. Dennis, good night.
I miss Arlene, but golly. Good night, John.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines. What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. This is Vern Bennett speaking.
What's My Line? Brought to you by Sunbeam, the best electric appliances made. Makers of the famous Sunbeam Mixmaster Mixer and Sunbeam Deluxe Electric Tools, a full line of quality